Hello, welcome to Startup to Success with Maria. My guest today is Shadi Amiri, who's the founder of Happy Life Coaching and Consulting. She has managed to transform her own life from rock bottom to her ultimate dream life using magical, unique methods to connect her inner power to the new energies of the universe. And today she is helping countless people to become the designers of their day-to-day life. Shadi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so excited. I love this topic and I can't wait to dive in and talk about manifestation. I can talk about that for days. But before we begin, I know you have a very special story and I really want to learn. I want you to share your story with the audience and how it inspired you to start Happy Life Coaching and Consulting.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm so excited to be here with you and I love your energy. So I'm super excited now. And about my story, well, the main thing that inspired me to be where I am today is my passion to help people. And I always had that passion. So for that reason, I studied psychology because I always wanted to help people, but I didn't know how I should do it. So I went to study psychology. But the exact timing when I had to start it happened for me by the universe, and that was when I decided to change my life. And as you mentioned, that was exactly when I hit the rock bottom, even lower. I usually say lower than rock bottom because it was the worst time of my life where I was in a very uncomfortable relationship, unfit relationship for myself, for my life, where having one fight a week was just happy time of my life. So yes, it was really difficult. And at the same time, I was working with my partner in a business which I did not like to work at all. And it was a very stressful time. And at the same time, I lost my only brother.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
So that's the time when I decided that I had to change my life or I just had to die. I only had two options because I had no more um, tolerance to continue as I was living, and I wanted to change it. So I decided to start doing all the things that I learned in my life. I was always so much into spirituality and manifesting. I read the book The Secret, and I was very interested to know more about it. So I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books. So finally, I decided to start doing all the practices that I knew how to do, which was the journaling that I learned to do, using the full moon power, and all the things that I knew about, but I never did. So I started doing them, and in less than a year, my life started to change. Everything started to change, like my emotions, my feelings. But you know what? To be honest, after I lost my brother, I was changed. That same day, I was changed. I felt that change. And I always say it like that minute I changed, that immediate, like sudden change within my mind and my emotions and my decisions. But trying to do something different was hard. Trying to change my life was not easy. And trying to believe in the power of the universe was hard because all I've always seen in my life was difficulties. And I was raised with an amazing family. Yeah. My parents are amazing. My brother was amazing. But the rest of it, I made a lot of wrong decisions. I was born in the war in Iran, and it wasn't an easy life. So yeah, when I started doing all the things that I knew how to do, my life started to change in less than a year. My ex-partner, he walked out of my life.
Wow.
Even though I tried many times to end the relationship and he didn't want to, but he walked out of my life. Amazing. Suddenly, like in one day, he was just like, I don't want to be with you anymore. And he walked out.
Sense, right?
Exactly. It was a tornado that happened in my life. And about 2 months later, I signed up in an online dating app, and I didn't even want to start dating anyone. It was just for me to move on from my ex relationship, and I just wanted to stop thinking about him. So I signed up to the app, and I just met a guy who was my mom's friend's son. I knew him, but I didn't know him like personally that much. I met him in the app. We started dating, and one thing led to another. And 6 months later, he proposed. And
Wow.
about
Congrats.
about 9 months later, we got married, legally married. Last year was our wedding, and today, after 2 years, I'm happier than ever before. And
Amazing.
I
Congratulations.
thank you. And I started working as a coach, which was always my dream, helping people. And I became a very successful coach. So everything turned out amazing, amazing.
I've had a similar story after my dad passed away. And I don't know if it's the fact that a loved one is gone and you realize how precious life is, and that pushes you to do something about the things that you're not happy
That
and
is
not waste time. Because when a loved one is gone, literally, my dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
wow.
Few months later, he was gone.
Wow.
So it was really hard to just watch a loved one who was here, he was fine, and then 2.5 months later he's just gone. And so that woke me up, and it was like, we none of us know how long we have here. We really don't. Hopefully it's years, but we don't know. It could be a year, it could be less. And if I have very short amount of time, do I really want to take this shit from this person, or do I want to do the job that I'm not happy with? Why am I wasting my precious life on the things that I am? And so I kind of went through that phase too, and I ended up taking a lot of things in my life to the next level. A lot of things. My agency, I started another company, I started this podcast show, the radio show. I just started getting really bold and just, God, I just want to say, like, fearless, because
Wow.
I was just
Doing
like,
all that you always wanted to do.
yeah. And I'm like, what am I going to lose? I don't care about anything, because if I'm gone one day, none of this matters. And, so it seems like we've had that in common. And I also, going through the grieving process, I leaned a lot on the universe, and I started questioning God. I'm Christian, I'm Armenian, I've been baptized. I used to pray, and then I stopped, and I started questioning things. And I think that was somewhat of a good thing for me, because I started exploring a lot of things. I started exploring rocks, I started exploring crystals, and manifestations and other things besides what I've been taught since I was little. And so let's dive in a little bit about, I want to talk about the manifestation machine. And, when you were telling me about your journey and how you knew all these things and you would do it here and there, but it wasn't until you made that decision and unfortunately lost your brother that you kind of just put your foot down and you said, I'm going to change. I feel like I've gone through that phase, and maybe still going, where I will spend time sitting and meditating and manifesting and looking at my visual board and thinking about things, but it's never consistent and it's never on a daily basis.
Yes.
And then I'll do something and then it works, I get excited, and then I stop. So with that said, I'm going to ask a lot of questions from my own experience, which I'm
Sure.
so excited to share. But before I do, I just want to make sure I give you the opportunity to explain the manifestation machine. Because when I read your bio and your story, I was just like, what? I want to hear about the manifestation machine. Like, what is that?
Yes, yes, that's sure, for sure. Well, I personally call myself a manifestation machine because
I love that.
yes, because I ever since I started manifesting all that I wanted, and as you said, I got really excited. And when I realized it's not a coincidence, it's actually there and it actually works, it really got me excited. And so I started trying different ways to include in my journey and see how it works. And when I saw the magic, I even got more excited and I started adding to it. So it all became like a package for me. And every single day, I started manifesting my daily life. So when I woke up in the morning, I started asking for all that I wanted. And I realized it's happening. Everything I ask for, it happens. I even on my wedding day, because last summer in Toronto was very rainy. Every day was rainy or it was extremely hot. So the wedding was on August 14th, and on the weather network, it was showing rain on that day,
Oh,
all
wow.
day. And I started manifesting. I said, you know what? It's not going to rain on my wedding day. It's
I
going to
love
be
it.
23 degrees. I said, it's going to be 23 degrees and it's not going to be that windy because I don't want my hair to be messed up.
Right.
It's going to be beautiful. And it was exactly as I wanted it to be. I told my husband, I told everyone, I said, you know what? It's going to be this weather and it's not going to be anything else. And it happened exactly as I wished for. So I'm still doing it every day. Every single morning when I wake up, I manifest my daily life. I even manifested this radio show
Amazing.
because I started manifesting everything that like meet more media interviews and more like being featured in the media.
Right.
And your show was one of them.
Thank you.
So
I'm excited to have
uh,
you.
and thank you so much. So yes, it's basically that's why I call myself a manifestation machine because I
Wow.
use my very basic methods that are fun to do. It doesn't take me a lot of time, and it all comes from my own mind. And I always say that manifestation, first of all, is the consistency, which you said, and it's the belief and trust that you have to the power. You should not doubt the power. You should know that if something is happening in your life, it's for the best,
Mhm.
and it's because you're manifesting something else. So when I was manifesting to have a good relationship, my ex-partner walked out of my life, and it was hard, but it was for the best because I was going to find my true partner, true love.
Wow.
So it's all about the trust, it's all about our own mind, and it's all about being and living in the present moment. That's what I always tell everyone. As soon as we learn how to live our present moment, this moment, without keep thinking about what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future, that power gets activated and we can align the power to the power of the universe easier, which, by the way, the power of the universe has changed and has shifted starting from 2019.
Right.
I didn't know about that. And as I said, I lost my brother on January 2019, right? The beginning of the year.
Mhm.
And so many other things happened after that. We lost many people we knew in the world, like our friends, our family. Many things happened in the world. And one of my masters, who is an amazing Native Indian master, he's amazing. He said that first time I heard it from her, and then I heard it from so many other places. From him, sorry. He said that the power of the universe, the energies of the world, the energies of the earth has shifted starting from 2019, which is a good thing because it's much powerful and we can much easier connect to it and get what we want to have. But because it's much powerful, if you don't control your mind and if you let your mind wander around for whatever negative thoughts that we usually have throughout the day, those negative thoughts can be manifested very fast, just like the positive thoughts can be manifested too. And I have so many people who tell me, so you mean you never experience any drama or any like negative events in your life anymore? And my answer is always yes, I do experience them.
Yeah.
Things that happens from outside sources, they do happen in my life. Some people might cause drama, I might lose loved ones, but all I learned is that how I should be dealing with them,
Mhm.
how I should keep my peace, how I should not let anyone or anything take my peace away from me, and how I should control my happiness in the present moment. That's what I learned to do.
I love that. I love that. I want to talk a little bit about, keeping up with the manifestation on a daily basis, which I used to be good at it, but then I got pregnant. And then once I had the baby, I realized that my mornings aren't mine. I wake
Yeah.
up and I have to feed my baby, change his diaper. And so next thing you know, 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, I forgot to meditate. I forgot to manifest. I forgot to read my God, oh God, I forgot what it's called. When you um I completely forgot what it's called. Anyways, but I have, huh?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Daily affirmations,
Yes,
daily affirmations.
yes. I don't know why I just blanked out. But I realized that, even if it's once every 2 days or whatever, if I make time to just go over it, remind myself, There's magic to it, definitely. I agree. I think there is a huge connection to I just don't know. And I'm gonna ask you more about that question. But one thing I'll tell you, and people sometimes make fun of this, they're like, oh yeah, just go manifest and make it happen. But they don't realize that when I'm manifesting something, I'm actually getting my mind to start thinking about the actions I'm going to take to turn that into a reality. It's
Very
not
true.
like I sit on my couch, watch Netflix all day while I'm manifesting to get a huge government contract as an agency owner. It's like,
Yeah,
no, I sit, I manifest, I look at my goals, I read my affirmations, and then as I'm sitting in silence and I'm being present, I'm a lot of times I'm getting ideas right
yeah,
there and then. A lot of times it's throughout the days I'm getting an idea. But manifesting, focusing on what I want, focusing on my affirmations helps me stay focused on where I'm going. And
very
so therefore, throughout the day, I'm trying to take actions to help me get there. So it all almost goes hand in hand. You can't have a vision without the action, but you can't have an action without the vision either. And so tell me a little bit about, like what advice do you have for the listeners if they're listening and they want to start doing this at a smaller level? Like, what can they do?
Okay, yes. So one of the things which you just mentioned, it was really interesting because I was talking about this morning with my clients, and that was for the people who think that the manifestation, like they're always confused. They're like, if I manifest, then I have to go do something. I don't know what to do next, and this causes a very, very massive confusion for people when it comes to manifestation. And um, what I have to tell everyone about this is that when you start manifesting, you are activating a heavenly or a universal or God power within your life.
Mhm.
That power will lead you and guide you towards your next step. So even if someone wants to sit on the couch and watch Netflix, they cannot do that when they start manifesting, because once they start manifesting, the next thing comes to them. Someone contacts them, or they see something that's representing their next step that they have to take, or someone walks out of their life, someone walks in their life, something happens for them that guides them and leads them towards their next step. And because they really want to have that, if they really want to have whatever they're manifesting for, they can find the sign that they get from the universe and they can start doing it. So no one can actually get lost after they start doing manifestation. They cannot feel lost because they can know exactly what happens after. They get the signs from the universe. And the question which you asked me about what people can do to start manifesting, I personally started, as I mentioned, I just knew several methods and things that I did, which was magical and it changed my life. I did learn a lot of things after that, but that one trick, that one thing that I did was journaling. And um, when I started doing journaling, my mind was in the worst state that could ever be at. It was like miserable, and I was grieving, and I was having fights every single day with my ex partner. And that's the time when I was started doing my journaling. So I wasn't in a happy state when I was doing my journaling. All I was doing was that I was writing down all the things that I wanted to have in life. But
Mm.
I wrote it down as if it already happened. And I even dated my page as the next year. So it was, if I was writing in March 2019, the page was dated as March 2020.
Wow.
And so basically, the journal was representing my next year's life. And it happened exactly according to the journal. Like next year, when I opened my journal, I realized I was living with a man who was actually caring, supporting, and loving, which I wrote in my journal. And the way that I wrote my journal, and I still write my journal every day, is that I write down all the things that I want to have as if they happened. So if I'm manifesting for a man who's loving, caring, and supportive, I write down that I'm living with a partner who's loving, caring, and supportive. But I always ask people not to force relationship into their lives. So if they are in love with someone, but they don't know what's going to happen with that person, I recommend to them not to name anyone in their journal and just to write my partner, because it's going to happen. And forcing someone into their lives, it's not healthy. I did that and I didn't get a good result from it
I
in the
love
past.
that. That's a really good point, because I think, sometimes women are so desperate to find someone they love, and they tend to think that the person that they think is the right person, and they try to force it in every way. And then when they get it, they're miserable, and it's just
Yeah.
like, why did I force it? But um, I love the journaling part. I've never really tried journaling as if I'm in my future self. That's a genius idea. Like, I have affirmations that are written in a present form. Like, I
Mhm.
am blah blah blah. I have a great partner. I just act as if I have it, I'm there, like all of those things. Um, and I never write I want or I need. It's always I have, and
Which is good.
I'm so blessed to have this. But it's almost like 10 different things that I have written down, and I try to read that. I have it on a flashcard, and I try to read it on a daily basis to remind myself of what I'm, working towards, and so on. And it's a mix of personal and work goals that I'm aspiring to do. But I've never really journaled. I love the
Mhm.
journaling because I think that's when I can get a lot of action items and ideas out of the journaling and be able to extract it and go execute it.
Exactly. And the best thing, if you want to know, because sometimes we're lost, we don't really know what we want, but we don't know the details of it.
Yeah.
So the best way to do it is that for us to find our avatar.
Yeah.
So the best version of ourselves that we have in mind. Who is she? How does she look like? What car does she drive? What house does she have? Who's her partner? How does she wake up in the morning? How does she feel when she wakes up in the morning? What does she do? What does she eat for breakfast? What does she do for her daily happiness? What actions does she take to make sure she's happy? So we take that all in mind, and then we start writing based on that avatar. We
Mhm.
start writing like, I am the happiest version of myself. I live the best life ever. I woke up very happy this morning. I had my green smoothie for my breakfast. I went to yoga, and whatever that, like a story, like a life story that you're living your best life as the best version of yourself, and date it for the next year.
Amazing, amazing. And I think I use manifestation also for my work a lot, because as I'm setting my goals for the quarter or the year, I have to be in that zone to like envision it and feel it before I can even take action and
Totally.
accomplish it. Yeah. So if the listeners are interested and they've never really dabbled into this and they want to try it, I'm I've read a lot of books, different books, and sometimes I find it so difficult to get information from so many different places and different methodologies, and then I start one and then I change it to another one. It's just so overwhelming. I just wish that there was one person that I could go to and say, hey, you did it. Can I just follow what you're saying or use what you're saying and do it? And it wasn't until today I came across your bio and I was reviewing. Well, obviously, like a couple of days ago, when we were reviewing your background and decided to invite you to the show, that's when I learned about you. But then today I really dove in and I was just like, oh my God, she's really the answer to my manifestation, right? So tell me a little bit about someone who's never ever read a thing about any of this. And if anything, they're questioning it, they're hesitant. What advice do you have for them? How could they get started?
Well, first of all, the journaling was the best part to start. And if they really want to go one level deeper into journaling, I just created my own journal actually.
Nice.
Uh, the first month we're selling it, it just came out, and we only sell 100 of them per month because it's handmade. It's a crystal charged journal. So it's a vision journal. It's basically a journal guided how to fill it out. And it has a vision board. So you also attach pictures to it. And there are real crystals attached inside the journal just to have the energies of the crystals to make the magic happen in there, and to amplify their manifestations. And that actually comes with a kit with every, like, with 5 or 6 items that can restore and fix the energies of their surroundings, their home, for wealth, health, love, and all that. So I just came up with that, and we're selling that on Etsy. I will share the link with you.
And we'll
Um,
have it in the show notes for our listeners to be able to go and find it. I actually looked at it. It's beautiful and it's very, very affordable. I was expecting it to be, especially with crystals and everything, I was expecting it to be like hundreds of dollars. And I saw that it was only $75. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I tried to make it as like, mark the lowest price that I
Yeah.
could, so make it available for people and affordable. So that's the one of the best things people can get to start in their own journal, just the way as we mentioned, right, as if their happy life has happened, and dated as next year. It's the same idea with the journal that we made. It's all the same idea, but in a deeper and more clear, more amplified level.
Mhm.
And also to find out more about manifestation, because I do one-on-one coaching, but I can only take 3 people per day, because my work is, it's all with energies, and it really drains me. I cannot really go with more than four, like 3 people or 4 people the most per day. So I decided to make my own online workshop
Nice.
to share everything that I know and leave it there for people. So whoever joins, they have lifetime access to it, and they can learn all that I did in my life, and all that I still do with my own support. So I still coach them, I'm still with them and support them to do it, but it's not one on one. So I have more time to help more people. And also in the workshop, we have monthly full moon and new moon rituals updated based on the position of each month of the year.
Nice.
We like a whole package that people can use to align their energies to the new energies of the world,
Mhm.
and kind of activate that manifestation machine, which I call.
I love it. Now, there's a lot of talk, and I think people are starting to learn about, Mercury retrograde and the full moon and the half moon. And, I started doing these full moon gatherings with a few of my ex-coworkers who are dear friends of mine now. We became friends through work, but we'll get together every year, full moon, and we'll go to the beach and we'll have our crystals and sage and all of that.
Wow.
And we just kind of get
Amazing.
together, connect, but also it's an opportunity for us to really start manifesting things amongst each other. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about Mercury retrograde. Like, what should people know about that?
Actually, you know what? In my practice, because when I started doing my manifestation, one of my masters showed me the magic of full moon combined with the magic of shapes. So we had the whole talk about shapes and how they could work in our manifestation. I know I'm talking all over the place, but they're all going to get connected to each other at the end. So, for example, the shape of a triangle, which is connected to the full moon, and some of the months and some of the moon positions, we combine it with the shape of a circle on a piece of paper with several different other shapes. And so it's basically like a whole design for each full moon that we create, and we fill out with all our manifestations, and we fold it, we keep it, we review it, we charge it with the crystals and all that. So how I can explain the power of the moon, which I use in my own life and I have personally experienced, is that as we all know, the moon has a very, very high effect on Earth, on oceans, on, like, physically, scientifically, it has a very high effect on everything that's in the world. It does have the same effect on our body, because our body is made out of water. Like, most of our body is made out of water. So it does have the same effect on our body. by full moon rituals, by doing all the rituals and connecting ourselves to the full moon, what we're doing is that we're transforming the energy of the full moon from negative to positive. So, when full moon affects our mood and it's um, kind of like triggers all the past memories, and it bothers us. The full moon energy is very heavy, and it's really, really, really effective on people's mood. By doing full moon rituals, we actually shift that energy to work in our favor and to expedite our manifestation. So that's why we do the full moon rituals. And you said you do it at the beach. That's the best place you can do the full moon rituals.
Yeah, we do it at the beach. And then one time I remember it was the pandemic. It was probably 2020. I ended up doing it at home myself. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night and remembering that it's full moon. And I was like, oh my God, I have to write my goals and all of that. And I took these like white big boards and I had all these things written down on it. And then I was just like, it was literally in the dark at like 3 a.m. or something. I don't remember. In my backyard, just looking at the moon and writing and like manifesting. And it's so interesting. I know it's kind of crazy, but I want to say like at least 4 things out of that came true, which was so incredible. But of course, there's a lot of hard work that's being put behind it. I don't want to mislead our listeners to think that all they have to do is manifest and do this and that. It's just, I think it's the beginning. You have to have a clear vision of what you want. You have to write it down. You have to believe in it. You have to envision. It's just a combination of so many things. I sometimes get shocked when people don't really believe in these things, because I'm like, well, how are you going to accomplish your dream if you're not able to like envision and manifest and all of that? So anyways, that's a whole different topic. But I love that you have, so people can go on your website, which is happylifecc.com, correct?
Correct.
Okay, they can go there and that's where they can learn more about the webinar, and then as well as the journal, and connect with you for coaching as well.
Yes. Also I'm mostly on Instagram, Shadi. It's Shadi Happy Life. I even forgot my Instagram.
We'll have it in
Shadi
the
Happy
notes.
Life. Yes, I'm mostly on Instagram, so they could also connect me there in Instagram. And yeah, and about the journal and all that is all on Instagram and my website.
I have one important question, which I love asking to all of my guests. Tell me one thing that you had to figure out, whether it was in this business, right? Because it is in a sense, you're in the business of helping people, and you had to probably figure out the startup world, how to get your idea, how to get your journal into a real tangible product. That's hard in itself. That's hard work. Tell me one thing that you had to figure out when it came to your particular startup, that you figured it out and you felt that it took you to the next level.
Well, the main thing that I had to figure out was, how should I explain to people about this manifestation, and how should I help them believe in this power. And it wasn't an easy journey for me. As you mentioned, manifestation is not just like doing it and getting it. It's mostly like entering an address into GPS. So it does show you the right direction to do it. So I was led into the right direction and right path to do it. But the one thing that I really had to figure out was that one thing that I really learned and I used in my business was that I had to use every failure as my life lesson and as a stepstone towards my success. So I started looking at the business because it was really hard to start it. I had no idea how to do my online work. I was making my online workshop, but I didn't know how to work with it. I didn't know how to hire people, where to find people. Well, manifestation did help me a lot, because I started manifesting for people to come toward, like the people who are good for my business, to be attracted to my life so I can hire them, so I can start working with them. It did help me a lot, but it was also the fact that I believed in myself, I believed in my power, and I did not let failures discourage me. I use them as my life lessons, and I try to learn every time I failed, and I use that lesson in my next step to make my steps stronger to get to where I want to be at.
I love that. I love that. It's a very good methodology in business too. You know, when we, as a marketing agency owner, when I take on campaigns, we always tell the clients that listen, not every channel is going to work.
Yes.
Half of them might fail, but that's part of the campaign testing. You know, you have to test all of them and have expectations that the failure is part of it. You have to fail in order to find the winners and be able to optimize from there.
Literally.
Now, so you're a psychology major, and you know, obviously, positive thinking is instrumental, right? And I love that you understand how the brain works, and you know, you have this like you have the educational side of things, but then it's almost like this magical side of things, right?
Yeah.
I love psychology. I read a lot of books. I love learning and understanding how the brain works. And I think I do it because I want to understand myself better, and I want to understand why we do certain things. And being in marketing also, it helps to understand how people think. But then when I started dabbling into manifestation and really for being in the present moment and trusting that everything will come to you when the time is right, that's when I was just like, whoa, this is so much easier than anything else that we're taught, than everything else that we go and get an MBA for or whatever. Like I have an MBA and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'll use my I'll use my manifestation strengths, and I'll use my goal setting and all of that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so easy. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, God, I wish I had known this so much sooner. I wish I had learned about this not in my late 30s, but in my early, you know, early 20s. I would have been, I don't know. It's just, what's your thought on that?
I have so many moments of that. So many. As I said, I was always interested in manifestation, and even my ex relationship, I manifested it by using the book
Yeah.
Secret.
Yeah.
But I did it wrong because I didn't know I shouldn't be manifesting in a specific person into my life.
Yeah.
So I was always interested in this whole subject. I did study psychology, but being a psychologist didn't really make sense for me. Not that I respect them, I love their work, but just for me, for my personality, didn't make sense because I was mostly interested towards spiritual part of the world, and how we can use that spiritual power to live a good life on earth. So I'm not really so deep into spirituality that takes me away from living on earth as a human.
Right.
I also respect those people who do that for their lives. But for me, I chose to live a earthy life, a life on earth, while I'm practicing my spirituality and I'm using my power, which my master always tells me the manifestation power is something that's placed within every human being.
Yeah.
But it needs to be activated. If we don't activate it, we're basically asking to take control of every corner, every area of our life and do everything by ourselves.
Yeah.
But if we activate it, that's when we figure that we have a power available to help us, and that's actually the main source that can do everything for us without us struggling and suffering in any kind for any area of our life. That could be
I'll give you an example. I wanted to have a radio show since I was a kid, 16 years old, maybe. And then I started my journey in the advertising space, and I worked with a lot of radio hosts. And the more I started working with them, the more I realized that I'm not good enough. Okay. Really weird. I just started thinking, oh my God, they're so good. I can't do what they do, because now I'm working with them at a deeper level, and I partnered them with brands, and they're just these big shot radio hosts and podcast hosts. And then I realized that, you know, if there is this idea that, and this willingness to do something in my head, or it has been in my head since I was little, there is a calling for it. There is a reason. And so the minute I let go, and I was just like, everybody started from somewhere, and I know that I'm meant to do this. That's why it keeps coming back in my head, and it keeps telling me I should just let it be, and things will just fall in its place, and slowly I'll just get better. And that's kind of what happened. And it's just been, I'm improving day by day. I don't think I'm anywhere near where I would want to be, but I feel like, to your point, that manifestations from a young age is slowly coming to life because I'm letting go and I'm trusting. And
Yes.
so I really want to emphasize on that. And if you can collaborate on that a little bit more.
For sure. Yes. It's actually, I have a saying that I always tell my clients and everyone who I work with. And I always say the best way of living is to find your goal, to believe in yourself, in your power, and then leave it. Just let it be and then live it. Means you need to start living your dream without doubting yourself. Which means, for example, for myself, my dream was to become a life coach and live my life. I knew I wanted to become a life coach, but I didn't know where I had to start from, how I had to coach people. My coaching studies started as a health coach, but I didn't want to be a health coach. I just started doing it because I knew it was taking me somewhere close to where I want to be. But the one thing that holds us back is the fear and is the doubt, which comes from the limited beliefs as we grow up. And it's also comparing yourself to people who are already where we want to be at.
Right.
If I look at like Tony Robbins
Right.
or Rachel Hollis,
Yeah.
I would lose my confidence and I cannot continue doing what I'm doing because I'll be like, oh my God, they're like, I can never be where they are if
Yeah.
I want to go that route. But the way that I chose to do it is that I trust my abilities. And I learned that Rachel Hollis is Rachel Hollis, Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins, and Shadi is Shadi. Like we're all different
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
We all take our own path. And yes, I got a lot of help from their words to be where I am today. And they're amazing, but I don't have to be them. I can take my own path and do what I want to do. And in another thought is that they took a long
Yeah.
journey to get where they are today. And I'm only looking at who they are today. I'm not looking at their journey and all the struggles they had to go through to get to where they are. So that's where we have to really be aware of our thoughts. And that's exactly why I emphasize on staying in present moments, because if we let our mind wander around and go find the people who are more successful or people who are now living the life of our dreams, it's good to watch them because to an extent they could motivate us to stay motivated and keep going. But if you really, really go deep into thoughts that can cause loss of motivation, and some people give up because of those thoughts.
Because it seems like it's so much work. Yeah, it's just so overwhelming. Wow,
Yes.
Shadi, I still have so many questions for you, but we're out of time, and so I do have to end. I'm gonna bring you back again. We need to continue this conversation. Remind our listeners how they can get a hold of you, and then we'll have obviously your amazing journal in our show notes and your website and everything. But just really quickly, if you wanna let them
Thank you for sure. Yes. So Shadi Happy Life is my Instagram account, which I'm always there. And my website is happylifecc.com. And if they want to know more about the journal or the workshop, they're both going to be on my Instagram feed. I mean, the bio, and also on my website.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
My pleasure.